Hi guys, welcome to our channel Swipe to Learn. Today we will be seeing about Python control flow. In this we will be looking after statements and loops. As you all know, in the previous videos we have discussed about variables, strings and some programs, how we're gonna iterate. But we can't execute the entire code, right? So we need some control structures where you can restrict the code usage and increase the code functionalities. So here comes the control flow statements. Control flow statements include statements and loops where they help us to write efficient code by controlling how a program behaves. Suppose this is a part of the code we write and you need to execute this code only when this condition satisfies. If this condition is false, then you don't want to execute this part of the code. And loops comes in place where you have repeated execution of time. Like you need to execute these 4 lines of code n number of times, then we use the looping statements. Let's see about different types of control statements and loops in the further video. So the first basic statement includes if construct. If just simply checks for the conditional statement. It just goes if condition followed by colon and the statement to be executed if this condition is true. As you see in the flowchart, the condition is true, then it's going to execute statement. What if condition is false? Then it jumps out of the if construct and execute whatever below the if are there. You can write it in the shorthand if, like if condition, the statement here itself, if it is a single statement. This is how if statement works. Let's see in the code. Say for example, age equals to 18. If age equals to 18, then the person is able to vote, right? So print, yeah, you are eligible. So now let me run this. See, you got the output, yes. So instead of writing this statement, you can just write in the same line itself. That is called as shorthanding. Now let's go and see about the else and elif constructs. Else construct stays where if some condition is true, then we're going to execute this part, right? What if condition is not true? We're going to execute the else part. Suppose this condition is true, then we're going to execute this. And then the next statement that undergoes execution is just below if. If the condition is false, then the series of execution is else part and the end if. So bottom line is going to execute at any way after the if constructs. Then what is elif constructs? Multiple else if conditions, like you have series of range or series of conditions to check, then we use the elif construct. If this is true, this is going to execute. If this is not true, then check for this condition. If this condition is true, then execute it and come back. Even this condition is not true, then check for the next condition. Like that, the series of statements are going to be checked in the elif construct. If we go and see with the ternary and switch statement, ternary take only two. If the condition is true, execute this part of statement. If the condition is false, execute this part of statement. Switch. Switch consists of cases like suppose the value switch of A, suppose A is 0, suppose this is case 0, right? It gonna execute and it comes out of the loop. It is going to check a multiple cases range. These are all different kind of statement. You can use whatever statement you are feasible with to execute your code. And then if it is case 2, then it's going to execute. What if it the value or the parameter that we have passed does not suits to any of the character, then the default statement is going to be executed. So these are about the basic constructs. Now we'll see about the elif construct, how it works. See, if age equals to 18, then we're going to print it. Else, print no. See, let me run this. Now age equals to 17. See, you got no because age, this if construct got false, and then it's gonna jump to else block, right? You can see age equals to 18. Age equals to 18. Now, what is the value of age here? It's 17. 17 is not equals to 18. This condition is false. Jump to else part. Else part is printing no, right? So the output is no here. Now, let's go and check for elif constructs. What if age is greater than 15? You're soon gonna get your vote, right? What if it's age greater than 10? It takes some time, right? Say something like this. Now let me execute this. See, you got here because age equals to 17. This condition is false. Then it's gonna check for this age greater than 15. This is true, so this gonna print this one. What if age is 11? Then age greater than 15. This is also false. Then it goes. What if age is 8? If age is 8, it gonna check all these condition and it's false for every condition. Now it's gonna print no. Now let's see with the looping statements in detail. Loops are used to execute the repeated part of codes. Like if you want to execute the series of statement, you no need to write. Suppose I need to call every time a person. Suppose say there are n person. I have m number of chocolates. Right. I need to call each and every person from this batch and I need to give them two chocolates, right? So each and every time I need to call a person and give chocolates and I need to update the value of m chocolates, m minus 2 every time. So this I have to repeat for n times. So I can't be able to write n times of code. So if n is 3 or 5, I can write it these four lines of code. But what if n is 100, 200? So at that moment, we use the looping statements. So for this looping, first we need to find the start of the loop. We need to start at the 1. See, from 1 end, where n up to n I need to execute. When it is false, like the condition, when the value exceeds greater than n, suppose n students are done, then we gonna stop the loop and updation. For each and everything, we gonna reduce the chocolate. So we will be having start, end, updation values and the condition to check. So we'll be seeing about different types of loops, while, if, nested loops. Let's see in detail. While. While is used to execute a block of statement repeatedly until a given condition is start. Suppose while loop starts. If condition is true, it executes the while loop body. If the condition is false, then it gonna execute loop. Right. While statements is the syntax, at the starting we will be giving the initialization of values. Initialization, expression is the condition. In the statements, we will be having updation. Right. In this while loop only, you will be having a different construct do while. If we go with the while loop, it checks for the initial condition. If the initial condition is true, then only it executes the statement. What if the initial condition itself false? Then it jumps out of the loop and executes the bottom statements, right? If you want to execute your loop at least once, then we use the do while loop. If the syntax is same, do, write your statements, while, expression. It goes, it executes this one and then checks. So it's gonna iterate it at least once. This is do while loop. So now let's go with the for loop. For loop is used same in the iteration sequence where you will be iterating through a series, as we all see in the previous codes of iterating the palindrome. For iterative val in the sequence or in an array or a list, we gonna iterate through all the statements. We can also use the range variable to print the series of statements. Nested loops. Loops within loops are called as nested loops. Suppose in this for loop, I have used another for loop inside them. In the while loop, I have used another while loop. Those are called as nested loops. See, firstly, outer loop condition is true, then it goes for inner loop condition. If inner loop condition is true, then it gonna execute statements. What if inner loop condition is false? Then it comes out and it executes the outer loop condition statements complete block, and then it comes to end. So what if the outer loop condition itself false, then it comes out of the block. Like this, we're gonna execute the nested loops. Let's see looping statements. Let's see while loop. Let me initialize a variable I while I greater than 5. Print I'm gonna print the I plus equals to 1. Okay, let me write simple I equals to I plus 1. Now let's execute this. Why did you get your output? Because 1 greater than 5 is a false condition, right? Let me make it into less than 5. Now let me execute. If the condition is true, then it's going to execute while loop, right? If the condition is false, then it goes out of the while loop. So now let me execute this part of code. You got the output as 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. See, firstly, I equals to 1. Here, this is the initialization. I less than 5 is the condition. And this is the updated code. So now let me check. I equals to 1. While I less than 5. 1 less than 5 is true. So let me print I in the output. Okay. Now update my value by 1. Now I equals to 2. 2 less than 5 is true. Now let me gonna execute the while block. I equals to 3, updated value. It's true, and then I'm gonna print. Like that, it's gonna print until I value while condition false. Suppose now I is 4. 4 less than 5 true. Now I becomes 5. 5 less than 5 is false. So it's the output is 1, 2, 3, 4. It comes out of the loop. So what if we give I less than equals to 5? Then you will be getting the output as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me modify the code. I less than equals to 5. See, you got your code as I less than equals to 5. Got my point? If it is less than equals to, then you will be getting 5 here. Now, let me write this code in the for loop itself. Let me put this comment. For I in range of 1, comma, 5, comma, my step count. I told you about the range function in the previous code, like range of start, comma, end, comma, step, right? So this is how we're gonna execute it. Step print 5. Here the everything is written in the code itself. Now check your execution. See, you got your 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I goes to 1. I checks goes in the range 1 to 5. This is 5 is excluded here. If you want to get the 5 too, then you have to modify the code as 6. Now, if we gonna check this code now, it's gonna print 5. Okay, same. So if you want to go with the character sequence, suppose for I in, suppose string ram, print I, check for the output, it's gonna say ram. So what if in this string RAM, it's gonna take the series of I is here R, then it's gonna print I, A, M. Like this, it's gonna print series. You can also take a list 2, 3, 4, 5. The for loop is used in the both ways. You got your output as 1, 2, 3, 4. It is used as an iterator in sequence or in the range. So let me see in the uh, nested loops, like writing two loop in the one side. I equals to 2 while I greater than 4 for I in ram, print. You can use two for loops in the nested loop, or you can use a for loop and while loop also. Now check for the output here. Okay, I haven't updated right I value. 2 greater than 4 is not condition, so I less than 4, I plus equals to 1. So you got 2 times, right? For I equals to 2, the while loop is satisfied and then it's gonna execute this for loop. So it's gonna iterate ram and print RAM. Now I value becomes 3. So 3 less than 4 is also satisfied. So it's gonna iterate ram again and print RAM. So next I value updated to 4. 4 less than 4 is false condition. So it's not gonna print. So this is how we gonna print. Now let's see about the conditional structures. Looping control statements. So most of the times we'll be going with the loop. So sometimes we need to go with the conditions where you have to stop the loop. So here we'll be seeing about 3 statements: continue, break, and pause. So continue. Whenever we go with the looping condition statement, it's gonna check the loop and then returns the statement, right? So it's gonna execute through the loop and then we gonna get the output. So what if the continue is written in certain condition? Then the continue used to skip the iteration, right? Whereas break is used to move out of the loop. Whenever the break statement get executed, then it comes out of the loop. Whereas pass is used if this condition is true, if we write this pass, sometimes we can't be able to write the code every time, right? Whenever we can use the pass statement and then we can execute the code. Without writing pass statement and keeping some if statement, then it's not the correct way, right? We have to write the code whenever we initialize a looping statement or a control statement. So pass is used to write when you don't have the code to fill in that part and later you're gonna fill that. So let's see about the working this uh, continue, break, and pause. Let me see I equals to 1 while I less than 5. I is initialized as 1. Now while I less than 5, now we're gonna print I plus equals to 1. So let me run this. Now it prints the series of statements 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I need to check the statement when I value is equals to 3. I don't want to print the value. See, if I equals to 3, then write continue. Now let's see the execution now. It skipped the next iteration. I equals to 3, continue. Right. What if I equals to 3 if I write in the bottom statement? Print I, because you're gonna skip this iteration, right? You got into an infinite loop. Now let me write in the for loop. For I in range of 1 comma 5, step is okay. Let me give the step count as 2. Print I if I equals to 3. If we write this, then it's not gonna run. See, because after if block you need to write some code statement. Now I'll write pass. Now I can execute the statement. See, you got your output as 13579. So now if I equals to 3, I'm going to use the break statement. It's going to print 1, check I equals to 3, it's going to come out of the loop, break. Loop is come out. So continue. Now check with the functionality. In the continue, it's just to skip the third iteration. Like, see, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 is gonna print the values. It checks for the y, 1, print 3. If I equals to 3, skip this iteration and then go to next iteration. 5, print, 7, print, 9, print. So coming to break here, break 3, it comes out of the loop. You terminate from the loop. Break is used to terminate the loop. Continue is used to skip the current iteration. And the pass statement is used when you are not able to write the code or you'll be using the code for the future purposes. Now let's see some of the MCQs here. Which of the following characteristic is a for loop? For loop is used when the number of iteration is known beforehand. It is always executed at least once. Always executed at least once. This is do while loop. Used for infinite loops, it's while of one. If you keep while of one is always true and it's gonna execute the entire infinite loop. So it's used when the number of iteration is known beforehand, because we will be specifying start, step value, and end value, right? Now, for I equals to 1 to 5, print I. I have executed this code previously. I range is from 1 to 5. Print I if I equals to 3, break. Firstly, I value is 1. It's going to execute 1. Checks if I equals to 3. This condition is false. Next, I value is updated. Now, I value becomes 2. 2, it prints 2. And then it checks if I equals to 3. No, it's false. I value is updated. 3. Now, it prints the output and checks if I equals to 3, then break. It's gonna come out of the loop. So 1, 2, 3 is the output here. What will be the output of the following pseudocode? I equals to 1 while I less than 5. Okay. I equals to 1, print the I 1. Now I equals to I plus 2. So I equals to I plus 2, that is I value becomes 3, right? Now it's gonna check 3 less than 5 is true, print 3. Now I values get updated. Now I value is 5. 5 less than 5 is false. It comes out of the while loop. So the output is 1 comma 3. Right. Now identify the input. For I equals to 0 to 10, step 2, print I. So the what would be the output? It's gonna print 0, 2, because step count is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 is won't print because it's in the range, right? It excludes 10. This is the output for this. So this is not an infinite loop. Infinite loop, it's gonna print so n number of times. Do print world while false. So firstly here the output I have already told you about do while loop. That's why I keep this example here. Print world. Firstly world is printed. Now while false, this condition is false. So it's gonna terminate from the loop. For I equals to 1, 2, 3, 1, if I equals to 3, then break. Then this output would be 1, 2, right? Because from I equals to 3, it's going to break. So see option B, while of 1 print, because 1 never becomes false. So we can't terminate from the loop. So it's going to lead to infinite loop. So the option is B. What is the output of the, so I equals to 5, do print I is going to print 5. Now I becomes 4, 5 minus 1, while I greater than 0, I is greater than 0. So go print I is 4 now, decrement I, 3, 3 is greater than 0, true. So go to block, print 3, iterate, update the value, decrement 2, 2 is greater than 0, print the I value. Now decrement the value 1, 1 greater than 0, print. Now decrement 0, 0 greater than 0 is false. So the output would be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is option A here. So sum equals to 0. And for I equals to 1 to 4, if I mod 2 equals to 0, then continue sum equals to sum plus I. Okay. I is 1. If I mod 2, 1 mod 2 equals to 0. It's false. So sum becomes 1 because 0 plus 1, 1. Now I becomes 2. 2 mod 2 equals to 0, right? So it's gonna continue. Skip the iteration. Now I value is updated to 3. 3 mod 2 is not equal to 0, right? So sum gives 1 plus 3, that is equals to 4. Now I value is incremented to 4 because 4 is not in the range. So it terminates out of the loop. So sum value is 4 here. Okay. How many times will the inner loop execute in the following pseudocode? For I equals to 1 to 3, for j equals to 1 to 4, print I comma j. Here this is the nested loop. So for I equals to 1, j loop is executed 1, 2. Okay, let me see for the j loop. For j equals to 1, 2, 3. So j loop is executing 3 times for each and every I iteration. I is iterating for 1, 2. Okay. See, you should also check. It has to check for the wrong condition. So it has to execute the inner loop like. So for each and every one j equals to 1 to 3, it also goes to check j equals to 4 and it should come out of the loop, right? The condition should be false and then it goes to the for loop update. So each and every time it's gonna check 4 times inner loop is executed. Okay. For the total loop is executed for I equals to 1 range, 2 range. So it will be executed 4 times. Inner loop is going to execute it 2 times. How many times the complete loops are outer loop is executed? Outer loop is executed 1 time, 2 time, 3 time outer loop is going to execute it. So for the first, if you want to find the total number of loops, how many times? So first I equals to 1. Here it's going to execute 1 loop. Inner loop is going to execute 4 times. For I equals to 2, outer loop 1 time and inner loop 4 times. For I equals to 3, it's going to execute 1. Inner loop is not going to. 8, 9, 10, 11 times it's going to execute the total loops. But whereas it's asked how many times inner loop executed, inner loop executes 4 times. For 1, 2, 3, and 4, it has to check the false condition and then return back. Okay. Congratulations, you have done with your mastering loops and statements. Check for the pseudocodes and keep practice programming. If you have any queries, please do drop in the comment box. If you find this videos helpful, please do share to your friends so that we will be coming up with new videos. Next.